Hey everyone, welcome back to POL Sci 702, Advanced Techniques of Political Science Research. This week we're going to talk about causal inference and observational studies. Okay, so let's go straight to the outline for this week. I will have two videos for you, or two sets of videos. In the first one, we will talk about causal inference with observed confounders. Okay, so here we're going to talk about the case where all potential confounders that affect both the treatment and the outcome um, are observed, are measured, and are included and available to us in the data. Okay, so we are able to basically adjust and control for all confounders or all potential confounders that might bias our inferences. Okay, and specifically, we're going to talk about two different methods of adjusting and controlling for these confounders. First, in the context of regression, using the techniques that we kind of covered in the context of prediction throughout the semester. And then we will talk about matching, and in particular propensity score matching, as an alternative technique to adjust for observed confounders. Okay. In the second video, we will then move on to causal inference with observational data, where some or all of the confounding variables are unobserved. So we cannot measure the confounding variables, we cannot control and directly adjust for them. Okay, and there are a couple of different techniques that we can use to still estimate treatment effects, to still estimate causal effects, even if they are confounders and we cannot observe them and adjust for them. Okay. The techniques that I will kind of briefly introduce are instrumental variable estimation, regression discontinuity designs, and then we'll also talk about panel analysis and difference in difference designs here as well. Okay, basically, what brings all of those approaches together is that they, under certain assumptions, in certain circumstances, allow us to basically estimate causal effects or treatment effects in the presence of confounders that we cannot measure, that we cannot observe, that we cannot directly adjust for. Okay, and so these are the videos will basically just be a broad overview of each of these individual topics. Okay, because essentially we could basically have an individual lecture or whole semester on causal inference and spend multiple days on each of those individual models. So what we're going to do is a very basic brief overview, so you can get kind of a little bit of an idea of what each of these methods entail. And on Canvas, I will provide you with some additional readings if any of these techniques look useful for you for your own research, and then you can kind of dig deeper into that material if you want to actually apply that in your own research. Okay. For your to-do list for this week, of course, as always, please watch the lecture videos. Regarding the code, we will go through all of the code for the techniques that I'm presenting you today in the Q&A session. Okay, so this lecture video, compared to the others, doesn't actually have any R code, but there will still be a repository on RStudio Cloud, and on that repository you will find all the code that we will go through in the Q&A session. Okay, then the last set of readings in our textbook are chapters 20 to 22 in regression and other stories that cover causal inference in observational studies. And as I mentioned, this is just a brief overview of a lot of different model types and estimation strategies. And so on Canvas, I provided a bunch of additional readings on each of those topics if you kind of think that such a strategy, such an estimation technique could be useful for your research, for your dissertation, and so on. And then I encourage you to check out, depending on what your interest is, check out those kind of additional readings either on matching or instrumental variable estimation or regression discontinuity or whatever it might be in the context of your own research interest. And then lastly, please keep in mind the last assignment, assignment number 6, It's going to be due by the end of this week on Friday, May 14th. So make sure to work on that and ask me questions if you have any in our last Q&A session, which is going to be on Monday. Okay, so much for the overview. In the next video, I'm going to talk about causal inference with observed confounders.